Here it is, part 2 of the HF100. Let's crack on. Hello and welcome to another MrBetaByte video, and this one's a little bit different insofar as this is part 2 of the Sony SL-HF100 with the colour issues and other issues. Which included, as we found out in part 1, the head drum not starting from cold, so about a minute after power up it would start working. We've also got beta hi-fi issues, and there was something else as well, I can't remember, but yeah, and obviously the colour issue. So yeah, my feeling is, having slept a few times since last working on this, is that I'm sort of approaching this a bit wrong insofar as I'm assuming that this just has one fault that's affecting everything, and knowing these machines, I've probably got 3 separate faults or more. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to look at the colour fault first. I did have a few comments. I said I wasn't going to read the comments, but I've been doing comments and I've read them. Just generally, I've been really bad with comments on the channel. I apologise for that. I am slowly catching up. But somebody said about the beta hi-fi side of it. The actual processing board for that apparently is quite susceptible to dry joints. And I have to say, I think I've only ever had one that had a couple of suspect joints on it, but who knows, it may well be that it is a common issue and I've just been lucky. It's like a lot of these things, you know, that people say about common issues and I don't come across them, or they've already been fixed. I mean, that's the other thing, because they're quite old now. Somebody else left a comment as well about the Hall effect. Now I thought I had damaged the Hall effect, and cleaning it up, it had quite a lot of glue on it. It's quite stubborn to clean up, and I thought I damaged it. But on testing, of course, I found out that I had this issue where after a minute or so it would come to life, the head drum motor. But why maybe I'm starting to think maybe I have got issues with that Hall effect is I'm pretty confident that it was okay before. Now, I didn't really test it that thoroughly, and obviously didn't press play necessarily straight away as soon as I powered it on. So maybe I missed that fault when I first initially tested it. But maybe I have damaged that Hall effect, and that's the result. It just seems a bit weird because you can almost set your watch by it. It is a minute or so, and it will start to come to life. And that, to me, feels a bit more like a capacitor issue, really more than anything else. But we'll see. So, yeah, let's crack on. Let's have a look at the colour issue first, because I'm sort of hoping that I know what that is. It's a fairly common issue I've come across on these, and the Slow 1700 seems to get this as well, so we'll have a look. Okay, so here it goes. Let's power it up. It has been on for a while, so hopefully it'll be alright. And yeah, good start. Usual thing, no. It's got that. It was whistling. And it's doing it again. Oh, it's gone off now. It's just that initial, when it tries to run the motor, I'm convinced this is a cap. I mean, well, it could be the Hall effect if it doesn't start up. I'm sure it will once it gets suitably warmed up. Obviously don't want to do this too much because it can damage the heads. There we go. Okay, well, that's the first pain in the neck. Now I'm just wondering, I don't know what it just did then. Oh! I think we might have a logic issue as well. We've got a few things going on with this, haven't we? Is it that the board's touched somewhere? No, no, it hasn't. Ooh, that's the Syscon board there. Ah, yes. Now we might actually have stuff touching. Right, hopefully we've got away with that. Just wind this back down. Oh, I don't know whether I can, to be honest. This could go horribly wrong. Yeah, so it's left tape behind. Oh, it could be worse. Right, so let's try again and try not to sort anything out this time. I can't believe I did that, to be fair. But right, so we've got no head rotation again. Okay, just while that's, we'll just give it a little while just to get going. I just remembered another comment, and that was on this variable capacitor. Yes, these can really be troublesome. I've had to change quite a few actually, but this one seems to test okay, and I have got 4.43 on here as well. We did actually get that in the last video, part 1. But these are notoriously bad for, like, I think they sort of corrode and it changes their characteristics when that happens. Capacitance just goes way out of limits, maybe. But that's my sort of thought on it. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are. But I do actually have replacement ones for these as well, which I did try in here, but I ended up putting this one back in because it tested fine. So yeah, but very valid point. And yes, I've changed quite a few of these. I think in a couple of videos I've actually shown that being changed as well. On I think the Slow 1700 I had to do that, had to change that. So yeah, but definitely a very valid point and worth mentioning. Well, I think I've popped something because I have no head rotation at all now, and it probably is going to be one of these semiconductor fuses. So there's a few dotted around, one there's a likely culprit actually, and there's a couple of others. I think there is one somewhere around here somewhere. But yeah, I just need to go around them and check what I've done. I mean, it sort of makes sense because one of the metal assemblies is here, that would have touched around here somewhere. So sorted that out, or grounded it. So yeah, I'll go through that, but I've got no head rotation, and I should by now. So yeah, let's crack on. Quick update, I tried it the next day and the head drum spins up straight away, and let's just prove that, or make it prove me wrong. So power on. I did also check the 12 volt and 9 volt switched rails, and they're both fine. I assume the Ever 12 is okay as well, but I will check that straight away. And it's just really weird putting this board out seems to have fixed it. I did have a close look for any sort of bad joints or anything, and I can't see anything at all particularly suspect. I've got one cap there that's potentially a bit dodgy, but wiggling it's not doing anything, so just really weird. The other thing I noticed, I did find that other fuse actually, semiconductor fuse, which is down there actually. I don't know why I thought there were any up here, there aren't. So there's one there, one there, one there. But this has had a little bit of soldering work done, almost as if somebody has sort of at least attempted to fix this before, maybe. But I'm not convinced. Ooh, that's just stopped. Huh. Interesting. So we have got an intermittent. Maybe it is the Hall effect then. Maybe that's what's causing all the problems. Very strange behavior. Anyway, I'm going to do some more head scratching and to see what's going on. And yeah, report back when I've actually found out what seems to be going on. I have a feeling I'm going to be changing that Hall effect at the end of the day, but we'll see. Colour issue. I mean, obviously I need the heads rotating to actually test that, but I'm not much further forward. It's a bit of a weird one. On the last playback I did, I noticed I was getting more noise on the black and white picture, so I'm starting to wonder if maybe I've got a problem actually on the preamp side of it. And this is a later HF, I think, HF100, because it's got the modified hi-fi board, so I'm assuming this has the modified preamp board as well, which has a board sort of glued on the other side of the PCB here. I can't remember when I changed or cleaned the Hall effect whether that was the case, but I have had problems with those, so we'll see how we get on. But anyway, I'm going to sort of dig in deep. Got the manual, so yeah, I shall report back. Let's crack on. Some more tests done, and I've gone through with the scope. I've actually checked the 4.43. It's fine right the way through, right up to pin 7 there. 4.43 going into the chroma chip, which is absolutely fine. Video signal wise, everything that I've checked checks out, but I still don't have chroma. But yeah, I've been slightly stalled with my testing because the head drum keeps dropping out. So what I did, when it wasn't working, I actually put this head drum. It's actually from an I think it's F30, and obviously it doesn't run at the right speed, but it will start, and every time it started, when this one hasn't, I say when this one hasn't because when I've put that one on, I swap it over and the other one works, the one that's in here works, except for one time. I plugged that in, worked, plugged in the original head drum, didn't work, and then put that one in, worked, this one didn't. So I've proved that it is a drum fault, and I am starting to really suspect I might have a dodgy Hall effect. It's intermittent. Like I said, I've never had that before, but it was really, really caked up with glue. Well, I say really caked up. It's very stubborn to get off. So I wonder if that's what's caused the problem. Maybe I've fractured a lead slightly, slight internal break, but it was in a pretty bad state. So I think that's probably where I'm going to go with that. Whether I'll do it the bodgy method or the full method, I don't know. We'll see. Yes, so my thought now I do actually have another board. I'm intrigued to actually try this board. This is the board I nicked the chip off for this. So effectively we'll be swapping the chips over. I haven't soldered this in yet. But I have put a note on here, bad video, which I suspect is video rather than colour. But one thing I have noticed is the video output of this is really very, very crusty, to the point where I don't think it's actually making a very good connection at all. And I wonder if that's all it was, maybe. I don't know. I've had this board absolutely ages, so could be anything, but just for the fun of it, I mean, it's easy to change. It's a 5-minute job, really. Swap it over and just see what happens. I mean, I anticipate it will be this board that'll have the problem, but yeah, it'd be just interesting to see what the difference is. So yeah, I'll swap that over and crack on. All boards out, so that's a new one's in, of course. Just plug it in, see what happens. I've got AV on the back. Oh, we do have some video. And well, I have nothing. I have absolutely nothing. So yeah, that's very bad video. Might that be easier to diagnose? Maybe. We can certainly follow the video signal. I'll probably follow it back from outputs, as long as the heads keep rotating long enough for me to test it. But yeah, I don't have anything there at all. Video on that cassette still. It's not like I've reached the very end of the cassette, 'cause I've run this for quite a while, remember. Yeah, it might be worth, I might just put a signal through this actually, just to see what that's like. Yeah, I've got input, so yeah, I need to update my Boku, so yeah, I'll crack on with that. So let's just press play, see what happens. Yeah, absolutely nothing at all. Okay, well, I'm tempted to at least diagnose this board and find out why we've got no video at all. So yeah, let's crack on. After a lot of head scratching and going through it with the scope and tests, both record and playback, I've pretty much come to the conclusion that it is YC-009, which is a CX20043. That is the culprit. So basically, if I just go over to the circuit diagram. So inputting from the Roku, I could have done color bars, the simple color bars actually, which would have been better, but anyway, I've diagnosed it now. So I've got video signal in, got chroma in, chroma up here, chroma out, and I have signal in here, which is part of YC-009. You tell that from the waveforms, not from the actual, it doesn't actually say on the block itself. So so yeah, got waveforms in. When I look at pin 35, pin 35 is the outputs and inputs to the whole sort of processing section of YC-009, video processing. I've got nothing at all coming out, and when I record, it goes in. So that's good that it's going in, but I've got nothing coming out. I have where are we? Where did I go? So record. So I have signal here, and I had signal here. I think I'm remembering this right. So that was all okay. I did disable the video mute. That made no difference. Still completely blank, and I mean completely. There is absolutely nothing. It's not even a trace of a signal coming out. But like I say, you can see it going in when you press record. When you press record, you do get where did I test? It's up here. So obviously I wasn't getting a waveform like that, but yes, here it was. I was getting recording fine. So it's processing the signal going back through. There's a switch inside the chip, but there was no playback. But I was also getting an input to pin 38 here. So something has gone wrong by the looks internally to the chip. Now I do have another chip. I actually had a board smashed. I thought it was an F30 board, but I thought F30s used a slightly different chipset, but I could be wrong. I'd need to look that up, to be honest. I might just put above my head whether that is wrong or right. But the only boards I've ever really had smashed, bottom boards that I've had smashed, have been F30s, because they're so fine, they're so thin physically, the machines. A little peg and plastic peg in the middle smashes the board. So I've got a few of those. But maybe it does use the same chipset as the like the C30, C20, C40 and the HF100. So I shall change this. I do know which is which because I put pencil marks on there to help me pick out the pins for the signal as I traced it through. And yeah, literally there's signal going into this chip and nothing coming out, nothing being processed. So yes, apologies I didn't show much of it. This scope, I sort of have mixed feelings about it. I don't like the touchscreen, to be honest, although it is, in some ways it's great. In other ways, I just like a physical knob to turn, point it to the value. And also I find with lower signals, it's a mess what it's displaying. It is handy because it does tell you the voltages, which at least gives you a bit of an idea what's going on, but it's so noisy, and even on fairly relatively strong signals it's a bit flaky. But I will start sort of at least grabbing waves off it to put in the corner, just so you can see what I'm seeing. I may well have already done this and that in this video, to be honest, but yeah, so I'm going to change this chip and yes, see if that fixes it. I'm sort of fairly confident, but we'll see. Let's crack on. So I changed the CX200-43 and it made no difference, but I haven't quite been trusting my scope as well as I should, to be fair. And what I found out, I actually took off the mute, which I think is still off, and basically I've just got no signal. I've just got a mess of like noise coming through, and it's not like clogged head noise. It's just like noisy blank video, basically. So I seem to remember when I was testing through, the front end where it comes into the board is fine, but from memory, it's pretty early on in the processing, disappearing into just mess, just rubbish. So yeah, I need to trace back my my fault finding from the front end on, rather than from the line in or line out, both back, and just see where that signal disappears, where I just get mess. Now I have actually got my test tape this time, rather than using just a random video with just random content, because I think that's not helping my cause at all, because I haven't got anything sort of more consistent to be monitoring. I've also put back in the SS board, Syscom board. I have no reason to believe there's anything wrong with this at all. I do need to sort out a dry joint for one capacitor that I noticed. It's not completely OC, but the solder's breaking down, so I need to sort that. Otherwise it looks alright, to be fair. So let's pair it on. Hopefully I haven't messed anything up. I need to get out just the standard video, put this in. Probably won't have head rotation. Whoop. Doesn't like being on its side. Yeah, so we have got head rotation. I have just found, I'd laugh if that was it. I'm sure it won't be, but that needs to go before I do anything else. And I probably need to go around and check some of these other ones now I've found that. I have a capacitor that's got really like green legs. So yeah, that has to go. 10 microfarad, 16 volts. It's amazing. You sort of look at these things and you don't spot it. And I was just going around just thinking, this feels so like a capacitor issue. And then I saw it. So yeah, okay, let's get that changed. Okay, well, I ended up changing a few of those 10 microfarad 16 volt caps. Two of them were quite leaky. I've tested them all and they all test fine, to be fair, so I don't think that's gonna fix the problem, but well, you never know. Just make sure. I've also taken the time I use the legs off the offcuts from the new caps just to strengthen those rear sockets, so let's give it a go. Yeah, and I still had nothing. So back to the drawing board a bit. I was really hopeful when I saw that. I just thought, oh, that's bound to make a difference, but no, it's not made any difference at all. Yeah. So, time to do some more investigating, I suppose. Let's crack on. Okay, well, I have been slightly chasing my tail because the signal is getting through. It's just very messy. And the signal... Oh, how can I explain this? This chip's been changed. A fair while ago, by the looks of it, but has all the same been changed. But yeah, cut to the chase. Basically, I started getting an image. It was very broken up, black and white, tearing terribly, wasn't in sync. And it started to improve, which sort of suggests capacitors. So I did try freezer spray, I tried some heat as well, made no difference. I did change these two capacitors because this capacitor seemed to be slightly influenced by heat and cold. but it's made no difference. In fact, I've got nothing again. But yeah, it's just trying to follow through, and it seems messy even coming into the board, which isn't helping. I mean, at the moment I've got colour bars playing back. I know that because I saw them briefly pop up. But it just seems really, really noisy. And I can't quite get my head around why. Because I know the signal that's coming into this board is good. Somewhere along the way, something is seriously messing about with it. Like I say, somebody else has had a really good look at this and tried to get this going. I've changed that cap because I remember, I'm sort of vaguely remembering this board now. That cap really had very bad, pretty bad leakage on it. So yes, I should do some more investigation, and I suppose take it from there. Let's crack on. Quite a few days on, and quite a few capacitors as well, because one comment, I know I said I wasn't going to look at the comments, but I was going through comments, and obviously some of them came up from the part 1 of this video, and one comment was one person was having similar sort of issues with signal, just degradation, whatever, and they said they just changed all the capacitors and that did the trick. Now, I'm not a fan of doing that. I have to say, I like to know where the fault is and actually fault find it properly, but I was getting such odd results, and like on not this board, the board that had no video at all, so this is the color one with the color issue. On this board I was actually getting the actual signal in from this panel was actually getting so badly degraded even before it even started getting processed that, you know, it was just really causing me issues. And obviously I found those 2 leaky capacitors, changed those and got something through, but not much. And I just thought, you know what, let's just do it. So I ended up changing all the capacitors on the board with no video, but I've also done it on the board with no color. So I'm going to try the board with no video first and just see what that looks like now. I have also dug out, I think these are my last 2 remaining. I think I probably do have more, but my last 2 remaining Hall effect devices, like I said, I'm sure I've got more somewhere, but that'll do. But I haven't changed it yet, just in case it is something to do with, I can't really see that it is to do with the 4.43 that's coming from this board. I mean, we have traced it through now. We are getting proper 4.43 from both boards. So yeah, but anyway, let's try it and see what happens. Okay, so this should be interesting. I did double check that everything, all the caps are put in. I did actually get the polarity right, and I also made sure that all the leads are properly trimmed, so nothing should touch. I can see 2 actually I missed, so let's just make sure we've got no stray bits underneath there. You probably didn't see that, but anyway, I've done it. So if you hear a little and some smoke, you know why. Okay, so let's plug it in. So far so good. So far so good. Now, like I say, I'm sort of half expecting the heads not to revolve, because they don't. sort of got to get, I don't know, warmed up. I've got hi-fi, but still no video. Yeah, so there's definitely something else wrong with that panel, but it's been recapped, which I suppose is good. Okay, so what I think I'll do is let's eject this, and we'll swap the board over with the colour one, and to see if we've got colour. Let's crack on. Okay, so here we go. Board swapped over, and so far so good. And how long it will take for the drum to start up this time? Well, straight away. And we still have black and white. Yeah, I'm not overly disappointed. I am a bit disappointed in the other board that made no difference at all, even though several of the capacitors, I did actually save them and divide them up. Several capacitors were actually quite leaky, and I thought, oh, there we go. You can actually see physical leakage on the bottoms. So these are the ones from the other one. So it does sort of prove you don't really need to do a blanket change of caps. You just need to find the fault. Which is not always that straightforward. I mean, there's probably people out there going, oh, I know exactly what that is. And yeah, I'm still learning these machines. Thankfully, I don't get too many with video processing issues. So, you know, it's building up that experience on that side of it, which I'm really enjoying doing, to be honest. So, yeah, hopefully I'll get a few more and I can really get the skill set up. But anyway, yeah, what I might do is just leave this run for a little bit as well, just by way of test, and then we'll do some alignment. Let's crack on. Okay, so I've got the board from the good machine, the good YC-28 blessed machine, installed. So just power it on, and do we have head rotation? No, of course we don't. Yeah, so we have colour. So it's definitely on that YC-28 board. So I just need to delve back in and really find out what on earth is going on with this. Really bizarre. And it is the Hall effect. It's going to be the Hall effect. So yeah, that's good. That's sort of really made it that I know exactly what's going on now. Yeah, I just had to check it, but yeah, that's cool. So let's crack on. Okay, well, I've traced it. This is going to be really very messy how I'm going to show this, but anyway, 40, 39, 38, 37, and 35. It's pin 35. Absolutely nothing, and that's the chroma outputs from the CX1000 or 121B, and pin 37. So I've got a bit of something on pin 37. So when we look at this, pin 35 playback, 0.7 volts peak to peak, goes to then CX23. So I see 03, which is that one. So yeah, and there's no input. There's nothing coming out here at all. Pin 1 chroma says 0.7. I mean, I'm getting double that. It's crazy how much I'm getting. Now, this scope is a pain in the neck. It doesn't always. You have to keep resetting it. If you do set this incorrectly, it seems to just throw wobbly and it won't measure anything or reliably measure anything, and you've got to turn it off, turn it back on, and then it seems to be okay. But it's fine. I'm getting used to its weirdness when it comes to things like this. Some things it's absolutely brilliant, but I find with signal processing it just gets really upset. So yeah, doesn't help, but yes, anyway. So just to confirm what I believe is happening, I have actually got my working one with good color, and on pin 35 I've got a nice healthy chroma signal, absolutely fine. Pin 37, pin 1, I've got just under 0.7, which I would expect because of the tape I'm using, chroma signal. So it's this chip. Now this chip I did change, and that was off a damaged board, so I made the assumption, which is always a good thing to do, isn't it, that this chip that I took out the other one was going to be fine. It isn't. It obviously isn't. There's obviously a colour fault with that one as well. So yeah, so I'm going to have to scrabble around and see if I can find one. I have got other boards. It's interesting that this is a CX10021A and this is B, but obviously A is not, well, the B is superior. It's obviously a later revision. It's quite a lot of sort of modifications done to the board, obviously, to try and get this to perform better, which this only has one. But yeah, so I have got problems with that chip, which was pretty much where I started out. I seem to remember. It's been a while, but yeah, I need to dig out another chip and we'll take it from there. So let's crack on. Okay, so just a quick one because I've been really busy with this. Changed this chip with the other one from the other board, and it is actually working fine. I did lose when I swapped this chip over with the other broken board. I lost color on record. With this, I've got color on record back, and it's actually very good. So playing it back on another machine, absolutely fine now. Everything is perfect actually. Playback is still a problem though. So looking at the circuit diagram, looking at the waveforms first of all, it's basically chroma gets turned off on pin, if I'm remembering right, yes, 37. Chroma is switched off. There's nothing there when you play back. I can see the voltage to this transistor should be something like 3 volts, 3.5 volts, can't remember off the top of my head now. It's actually about 0.6. When I put it in record, it's reading the right voltage. And basically I've gone right the way through this, and you can see where the signal is basically being turned off, and that gets turned off from here, from this chip. And looking at this chip, gosh, I've got to try and remember back on this. We've got a line here, the switch here, and there should be 4.3 volts here, both in record and playback, and I only get it in record, so there's no chroma. That comes all the way down here. It's the acknowledgement rail, and it drops down to YC-28, which is CX20043. And basically in record I get 4.4 volts. In playback it drops right back to, it's about a volt 0.7, I think it is. It's low. Here I get 2.7 in record, and it's about a volt in playback. So everything else on this chip checks out pretty much fine. All looks to be working correctly. It's just literally this that isn't. So I have to assume that something is wrong with this switch, this internal switch to that chip. So this one I haven't changed. So I'm going to swap it and see how we get on. Everything else checks out fine. All the voltages check out fine. Like I say, it records fine. Playback, though, it's just like colour is being killed. I occasionally see a flicker of colour distortion. If I mess about a little bit with the circuit, just making transistors conduct a little bit more. But yeah, I'm pretty confident now that it's going to be that chip, so I'll get that swapped and we'll take it from there. So we have colour, and it turned out to be this transistor here, Q502. I rubbed it off the broken C30 board. It's a straightforward transistor, but when I test the old one, it's completely wrong. It reckons the emitter's the middle leg, and the emitter's actually the leg 3. It reckons there's a diode across there, and it's just like, oh, crumbs. So yeah, that was an effort. Basically, what I ended up doing, I'm probably better to show you on the circuit diagram if I can. So, playback chroma goes in to the chip. This is YC-006, which is the CX1021, so 10021. B or A, I think either's fine. Then goes through various processes up here, emerging at pin 1 and goes into pin 41. And this threw me a little bit. I wasn't quite seeing this. So it goes through here, click on, in play, goes through to comb, and basically with the scope, so I did this all with the scope, I triggered off pin 2 on connector CN001 and followed the chroma signal right the way through, and basically I got to C502, which is this capacitor here. On the one side I could see chroma, on the other side it was completely flat. There was nothing at all getting through that I could detect with the scope. Anyway, the scope kept crashing, which didn't help. So yeah, and that pretty much meant that really that was all it could be, and sure enough it was. I've had to very, very slightly adjust the signal, the C comb, and there was something else that was ever so slightly out. Carrier balance. So slightest tweak. Oh, and also I mean, basically I went through the lot in the end. AFC I think was fine, but the offset was slightly out, I think I've got that right. And yeah, everything else seems to be fine and dandy. So next on this machine, we need to have a look at that Hall effect. We can put this back together now. I'll play a cassette on it, a proper one as well, just to see what it looks like really. And we'll change the Hall effect and we should be good to go. another thing as well, I don't know how I managed to do it, but I blew the semiconductor fuse. It's an N20 fuse. I had one on another board, so I just swapped that out. But the symptom when they pop, this is for the 9-volt switched power supply. I had turned it off, honest. I desoldered it stupidly, really. I desoldered it with wick. I should have used the desolderer, and I think there must have been some residual voltage, because this one leg goes to ground, another leg goes to the 9-volt switched, I think via that resistor. So obviously when I put on the solder braid, I'm going ground to 9-volt switched, and I think there must have been some residual voltage there. I did measure before I checked, before I changed it, just in case. But yeah, that must have popped it. It's the only explanation for it. But when this pops, you get head drum running very, very fast, spinning up really fast, and the capstan also runs really, really fast. So if you get those two symptoms with a machine, and you'll find the tape will become like a loop inside the machine, good chance this has popped. And this is the same on pretty much most Sony betas, I would say, from the C9 onwards anyway. The C9 has a glass fuse, 500 milliamps I think it is. I could be totally wrong off the top of my head. But yeah, this will be a good one to test first if you've got super fast head drum rotation when you press play and capstan rotation. Take up is as normal, but of course it spills loads of tape out because it can't take it up quickly enough. So yeah, it's a top tip there. So anyway, yeah, let's crack on. So the YC-28 board is back in, and I've put the back on, and given it a little bit of a tidy up as well. There's quite a lot of moisture damage on the back. I don't really remember. To me, it's quite a long time ago. To you, it's only a few minutes. But we do still have the issue with the Hall effect. Now, I will say, when I was using it last night, it didn't actually miss a beat. It started up straight away, but it is a bit warmer, and the humidity is a bit lower, so I think that's probably why. But it's just odd, after I'd fixed the fault, it seemed to be reliable. But anyway, never mind that, because if we do need to change it, just the other week I found some THS119 Hall effect devices, Toshiba, on AliExpress. I'm hoping they're going to be good. They seem like maybe redundant stock rather than remanufactured, which is something. They worked out £3 or £4, I think, with the postage and the tax each, which isn't too bad. And there was a quantity, I think it was, you could get them in quantities of 5. I've got 10 now, I think. But I thought I'd give them a go. And TH119, this is the replacement for the THS118 that these are fitted with. Both Toshiba manufactured parts. There is a YY119 as well, which supersedes this. But as you can see, these are actually, they're a little bit smaller, physically a little bit smaller, but that's fine, because it's only got to sit underneath the rotor there, the magnet. So yeah, but let's give it a go. I've already powered it up just to see what does actually happen. Yeah, so we've got no head rotation. So let's eject this cassette and power it off and change this Hall effect. Okay, so the first thing to do is get this off, and it is looking decidedly very tight, and can I get in there even? I'll be a bit careful I don't damage anything. wonder if it might be better because the grip is a little bit smaller. On this side, this is the board's in the way. Let's push it back a bit further. Just get it in there. Widen the drawers as far as they'll go. I should be able to get in just to hold that. It looks a bit precarious. 7mm. I think it's actually something like 6.5. Oh, there we go. Wasn't actually as tight as I thought it was going to be, and no damage done. So there is enough of a gap on either side to do that. So that's good. Obviously easier with the whole drum out, but I'm going to do it the in inverted commas the bodgy way, just because I have no other reason to take this drum off. I half suspect the bearings will be noisy after doing this as well. Yeah, there we go. Because obviously there's some force there as well from the magnets. So just be aware of the washer under there. It just came up, and of course I put that right in front of the camera. Yeah, so there is our Hall effect, and you might just be able to see the little round circle on the top of it. So I need, let's use one of these very sharp probes just to lift that up. Can. I put some, you might remember I put some hot glue on this, and that came off very easily. It was actually doing a fairly good job, but it was pretty, it came out pretty cleanly. There's actually still quite a bit of glue around it. But anyway, it needs to come out, so let's take it out and relieve as much lead as possible. I think that's got it, there we go. Now another thing I'm a bit concerned about, because it is quite contaminated, the glue is actually rotted. Rotted the legs, how well the solder is going to adhere. But yeah, let's just compare the two devices. So obviously that's one I've taken out, and that's the THS119, so that's 118, and there's not a huge amount of difference, not quite as tall, but hopefully it will work. And the beauty of doing it this way is if it doesn't, I have actually got some 118s left, so I should be able to quite comfortably do it. So I want this to sit a bit more flush. Oh, maybe I won't get away with, I don't want to melt the plastic either. Okay, so that's how I've done it. Well, that's soldered. It's not my finest work by a long shot, and it's not shorting. Mechanically, it's pretty strong. Well, this sits on here. Okay, I wonder. Yeah, it's going to clear it fine, isn't it? Yeah, it's fine. I really rather would not like to do it this way again. But well, we'll see. We'll see how we go. So that should be able to just super. Okay, let's give it a test. So I've done a few things since the last segment. I've pretty much put it back together. Screwed put all the screws in the two panels. I did also put the cable ties on the board that's underneath the head drum, just to keep that cable from fouling any of the mechanicals. I've also taken the front off, and this was actually stuck on slightly crooked, and it kept trying to pop off. So I've put a tiny bit of glue. There's no sticky here. There's sticky on the top and the bottom, and none on the edge. So I've just put a tiny spot of gel super glue just to keep that from coming away. I've cleaned all underneath, dusted out, made sure, obviously putting it back on. When you take this off, make sure that you catch the volume control knob, and then once this is off, just make sure it's turned down, and then that the little pointer groove is actually pointing in the right direction. So yeah, turn it down and point it that way. And with the front cover as well, just make sure that all the switches on the actual panel are all pushed down. So when you put this on, all the plastics for the switches all sink down with gravity when you put this on this way round, right way round. And you won't damage them. Very commonly I see the switches underneath, the back of them all like broken and cracked because somebody's pushed it so hard, it's cracked all the plastics. Generally they still work, but it's not great. So yeah, let's give it a try. Power on, and I will have to remove this tape. I did have a look in the box that this came in, just to see if I could find the bit of plastic that broken off. Apparently it's broken off in transit. It hasn't fallen inside the machine. I don't think it's actually capable of doing that. I don't think there's actually a hole there through to the innards. But no, I can't find it. So, and yeah, so just pull that off, get it at about a 45-degree angle, and it will just pull out. But I'm going to have to try and fashion something similar to that on this side. But I won't do that in this video because I'm running out of time. But I will. We do have another machine, so I'll probably update on this flap and how I fixed it when we look at that one. But yeah, so camera line, meters on. I'm not going to worry about having the meters on. To put all the rest to the green recommended, that should be fine. AV, and yeah, let's just start capture, and let's see if these heads are going to revolve straight away. Yeah, perfect. So yeah, that's actually really good. Tracking, furthest left, furthest right. So just losing hi-fi there. And middle again. So yeah, we have done it. Needs to track slightly off center. I need to have a look at my slow 1700 actually, because the tracking is slightly out. So yeah, but that's for a future video as well. But yeah, we got there, and I will say it sort of refreshed an awful lot in my mind about fixing the signal process on video recorders, but specifically Betamax. I think probably maybe one or two ever. In fact, I know I did a Toshiba V9600, went right the way through the colour section, more as a learning exercise. I was about 15 when I did that, with the service manual actually and a book, and went through the whole of the chroma and luminance section and everything, servo, the lot, just to learn about it. And of course I've forgotten it all pretty much. So yeah, it was actually quite interesting to do it, start off doing it the sort of like, oh, it's pointing to this chip, let's just change it, see what happens, to actually doing it sensibly and following through the signal path for the chroma. Obviously you've got chroma coming from one head chip, if you like, or one of the two signals. Just follow it through. Where it disappears, that's where your problem is. Obviously we do have the other panel. So this is going to be a similar sort of thing. I was hoping to do that in this video as well, but this one I'm probably going to save. I've got two HF100s myself, and one of them is in a pretty sorry state. It was earlier in this video, I believe. I think I can remember doing that. So yeah, as part of that one, we'll probably have a look at this board as well and do some fault finding. Whether that will all be in one video or two separate, because like I say, that machine needs a fair bit done to it. But we will get this going as well, and we'll look at the luminance side of it rather than the chrominance, because I'm assuming probably chrome is going to be okay. But yeah, so that's another thing to look forward to. So we've got the another HF100 with a colour issue from Xavier. So that'll be coming up probably next week or the week after. And then, yeah, got quite a few interesting machines coming along actually. So with that, I hope you enjoyed this one. Certainly a little bit different, I suppose. A bit more sort of in-depth troubleshooting, which is always good fun. Yeah, so hopefully I will see you in another video. Bye for now. I found a missing piece of plastic. Put the top on. Actually fell out from the hinge. And yeah, it's just jammed right in there, I think. But yeah, just put the top on and it was just there on the plastic. So brilliant. Glued that on, and once it's fully dried and hardened, I should be able to put the flap on. Result.
Right now, I can't tell you whether The English Patient or Secrets and Lies will win the Oscar for Best Film. I can't tell you whether Anthony Minghella or Mike Leigh might triumph as Best Director over the likes of Milos Forman. I don't know whether Brenda Blethyn, Kristen Scott Thomas or Emily Watson will take the honours as Best Actress. I don't even know whether Ralph Fiennes will be considered better than Tom Cruise, Woody Harrelson, Geoffrey Rush or Billy Bob Thornton as Best Actor. What I can tell you, however, is that the best coverage of the ceremony will be on BBC Two. Live from Hollywood with not Oscar, but me, Barry Norman, on Tuesday at 2 AM.
Guess it's time to meet the neighbors.
When a man is lost in space,
We have to reach out to them.
and technology cannot bridge the gap,
There is no more time.
You have to make a choice.
You're too close to this.
Test the outer limits of your imagination. Monday at 9 on BBC Two.
Who needs politicians? Jeremy Paxman chairs the debate in tonight's Newsnight special in a couple of minutes. Now on BBC Two, Science Week gets closer to brass.